Folks, something wonderful is happening across the land. People are waking up. They are tired of tasteless, trucked-in food that sits on a shelf for weeks. They are yearning for a connection to what they eat, for food with a story, for nutrition that actually nourishes. This isn't just a fleeting trend, it's a deep cultural shift. We are witnessing the glorious renaissance of the small family farm. It's a return to sanity, a return to community, and a return to the land. People want to know their farmer. They want to see the sunshine and the grass that fed their food. This is where you come in. This is your invitation to be part of the solution. You don't need 1,000 acres and $1 million loan to answer this call. Forget what the industrial agriculture salesmen tell you. The most innovative, profitable, and healing food production today is happening on small plots of land. It's happening in backyards, on rented patches, and in forgotten corners of suburbia. The beauty of this movement is its accessibility. It's about using your brain more than your wallet. It's about stacking enterprises, creating symbiotic relationships, and mimicking the patterns of nature. This approach isn't just better for the earth and the animals. It's a whole lot more fun and profitable for the farmer. The industrial food system is a giant with clay feet. It's brittle, inefficient, and disconnected from the very people it's supposed to feed. Every time you hear about a food recall, a nutrient-deficient vegetable, or a farmer going broke, you are seeing the cracks in that system. First up, let's talk about one of the fastest and most profitable things you can grow: microgreens. What are they? They are simply the young seedlings, edible vegetables, herbs, harvested just after the first true leaves have developed. Think of them as vegetable confetti. They are packed with flavor and up to 40 times more nutrient-dense than their mature counterparts. Chefs at high-end restaurants go crazy for them, and health-conscious consumers are quickly catching on. You can grow them indoors, year-round on a tiny footprint. This is a business you can literally run from a spare room or a corner of your garage. Starting a microgreens business is incredibly simple and cheap. You need some shallow trays, a good quality potting mix or growing medium, and high-quality seeds. That's the core of it. For about $150 to $300, you can get everything you need to begin. This would cover a set of stackable shelving racks, basic shop lights, or a sunny window, a dozen or so 10 by 20 inch trays, a few bags of soil, sunflower seeds, pea seeds, radish seeds, broccoli seeds. You don't need a tractor or even a garden hoe. You just need a bit of space, some water, and a willingness to follow a simple process. The profit potential here is astounding. You plant the seeds densely in a tray, water them, and in 7 to 14 days, you have a harvest. A single 10 by 20 inch tray of, say, sunflower shoots can yield about a pound of microgreens. You can sell that pound directly to a local chef or at a farmer's market for $20 to $30. The cost of seed and soil for that tray might be just a couple of dollars. Do the math. The margins are fantastic. Imagine having a rack with 10 trays. That's a potential $200 to $300 a week from a space the size of a small closet. Take the story of Chris and Brooke, a young couple in an urban apartment. They started growing microgreens in their one-bedroom apartment. They began by selling to a couple of local chefs they admired. The chefs loved the quality and freshness. Soon word got out and they expanded to a farmer's market stand. Within a year, they were making a full-time income from their apartment farm, eventually moving to a larger space to keep up with demand. They started with less than $500. Their success came from consistently producing a high-quality product and building direct relationships with their customers. That is a model you can copy tomorrow. Now let's move outside and talk about chickens. But forget the stinky, static chicken coop. I'm talking about the Eggmobile, a portable chicken shelter that follows grazing animals. This is the epitome of a symbiotic, multi-species, pasture-based system. The chickens live in their mobile home, and we move them to a new patch of pasture every few days. They follow the cows scratching through the cow patties, eating the fly larvae, and sanitizing the pasture. In the process, they spread the manure, fertilize the field, and find a huge portion of their own protein-rich food. They get to live a happy, healthy life, and you get the most amazing, nutrient-dense, deep orange yolked eggs you've ever seen. The initial investment here is for the birds and their mobile home. You can start with 50 laying hens, which will cost you around $10 a bird for ready-to-lay pullets, So that's $500. Then you need the Eggmobile. You can buy a fancy pre-made one, but that's not the budget way. The ingenious way is to build one yourself on an old hay wagon or a simple trailer frame. With some lumber, chicken wire, and roofing material, you can build a perfectly functional shelter for under $1,000. Add in some feeders and waterers for another $100. So for around $1,600, you can have a 50-hen laying flock that is ready to work and produce. Profit comes from selling those beautiful eggs. With 50 hens, you can expect about 3 to 4 dozen eggs per day. People will gladly pay a premium for true pastured eggs. While the supermarket sells sad, pale-yolked eggs for $3 a dozen, you can command $6 a dozen, $7 a dozen, or even $8 a dozen for your sunshine and grass-fed eggs. At $7 a dozen, 4 dozen eggs a day is $28. That's over $800 a month in revenue. Your biggest ongoing cost will be supplemental feed, but because the chickens are foraging, your feed bill will be significantly lower than a confinement operation. Let's step back indoors for a moment and look at something completely different. Gourmet mushrooms. We're not talking about your standard white button mushrooms. We're talking about beautiful and delicious varieties like shiitake oyster lion's mane. These command a premium price from chefs and foodies, and you can grow them in a surprisingly small amount of space with very little initial investment. Mushroom cultivation feels like a magical blend of science and cooking. It's a fantastic niche that isn't as crowded as vegetable growing, offering a great opportunity to stand out. There are a couple of simple ways to start. The easiest is with pre-inoculated grow kits. These are blocks of sawdust or other substrate that are already colonized with mushroom mycelium. You simply cut a slit in the bag, mist it with water, and watch the mushrooms grow. A more scalable, do-it-yourself method is to use logs for shiitake or buckets for oyster mushrooms. For shiitake, you drill holes in hardwood logs, insert inoculated dowels spawn, and seal with wax. For oysters, you can pack a 5-gallon bucket with pasteurized straw and mushroom spawn. The startup cost is minimal, just a few $100s for spawn, buckets or logs, and a drill. The profitability is excellent, especially with oyster and shiitake mushrooms. A single 5-gallon bucket can produce several pounds of oyster mushrooms over a few flushes, and you can sell them for $10 to $15 a pound. Never underestimate the power and profitability of a simple herb garden. Fresh culinary herbs are a fantastic cash crop you can grow in a very small space. Think about the tiny plastic clamshell of basil, rosemary. How much does it cost at the grocery store? A lot. Often half wilted by the time you get it home. Chefs and home cooks will pay a premium for fresh, locally grown bunches. You can grow a wide variety: basil, cilantro, parsley, dill, thyme, oregano, mint. Let's talk about an enterprise that produces a valuable product that also provides an essential ecological service. Beekeeping honeybees are just incredible creatures, and managing them is a deeply rewarding experience. The primary product, of course, is honey, a natural sweetener with a nearly infinite shelf life that customers absolutely love. But honestly, that's just the beginning. Beeswax for candles, beeswax used in cosmetics, pollen as a health supplement, and propolis, a resinous mixture bees produce. Plus, your bees will pollinate your garden and your neighbors' gardens, increasing fruit and vegetable yields for everyone. You might think raising cattle is only for big ranchers, but that's just not true. You can raise 100% grass-fed beef on just a few acres using a technique called management-intensive grazing. This is what I call salad bar beef. Instead of letting cows wander over a whole pasture, you give them a fresh, small paddock every single day using portable electric fencing. This mimics the natural behavior of herd animals. It builds topsoil, improves pasture health, and produces beef with far superior flavor and nutritional profile compared to grain-fed beef. The startup costs for this model are surprisingly low if you do it right. We've walked through a handful of ideas, from the quick returns of microgreens to the long-term satisfaction of raising grass-fed beef. We've talked about chickens, bees, herbs, mushrooms. Each of these represents a doorway. It's an entry point into productive work, honorable work, healing work. These are not just ways to make money, build a better life, connect with your community, participate in the dance of nature. The industrial food system wants you to believe you are powerless, that you are just a consumer. That is a lie. You have the power to produce. Don't be paralyzed by thinking you need to know everything before you start. You don't pick one thing. Pick the idea that sparked a little fire in your belly. Chickens, bees, start small. Start with 25 broilers instead of 100. Start with 1 beehive instead of 5. Start with 2 raised beds for herbs. The goal is to get started, to learn by doing, to make your mistakes on a small, manageable scale. Your first batch will teach you more than a dozen books. Success is built on small, early failures you learned from. So, the time for reading and dreaming is over. The time for doing is now. Go on. Take the first step you can farm.